Today in our Elements of Art review, we are going to talk about, on page 9, we're going to talk about form and space. Form is a three-dimensional object which encloses volume. It has height, width, and depth. So these are some basic geometric forms. Geometric forms are typically man-made. They appear very mathematic. And there's tons more, but these are our basic ones: a sphere, a cube, a cylinder, and a cone. So anything geometric, we're thinking math, straight lines, machine-made. For organic forms, these are irregular three-dimensional objects. So almost anything from nature is going to fit into this category. So, I mean, look outside your window. If you're seeing, an acorn or a tree or even, an animal or a human, these are going to be organic forms. So let's draw an organic form in here. I'm just going to draw a mushroom. And because we're talking about form, we'll need to make sure that we shade it. So you're going to you can draw whatever form you like, but organic form that you like, but make sure that you draw it so it looks rounded and dimensional. And you're certainly welcome to use mine if you like. Okay, so an open form is a form with irregular or broken contours. It has a negative space within it. So we're talking something that would have like a pass-through, a donut, anything where you have an opening and a pass-through would be an open form. A closed form is just a solid mass. Think about anything that is solid and can't be passed through. Even like your cell phone would be a closed form. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about space. Actual space is three-dimensional. Is a three-dimensional volume, and that can be empty, or we can fill it with objects. It has height, width, and depth. So when we're talking about actual or real space, that is like when we're talking three-dimensional sculptures take up actual or real space. On a picture plane, so something that is flat and two-dimensional, the positive space is the space occupied by the drawing or any object that we're, placing on there. And the negative space is the empty space around it. The positive space is our focal area. The negative space would be the background. Okay? So the illusion of space on a two-dimensional surface can be created using several techniques. And the first two that I want to talk about today are overlapping, and that's just one object sitting in front of another. So let's do a stack of overlapped objects, and you can choose whatever objects or shapes that you want to overlap. But you'll draw the front one, and then when you draw the next one sitting behind it, it must have an overlap, and then draw one more at the back. And you'll also notice this, that as they go back, they go up on an angle. This one does ever so slightly, but as they go up on this angle, things that are lower on the picture plane are closer to us, and things that are higher tell us they're going further away from us. And that's another tool that artists use. So when we're talking about space and we're trying to create three-dimensional space on a flat drawing, objects that are closer appear lower, objects that are further appear farther, like up on the plane. Okay? So foreshortening is something that we've used a lot in our warm-ups. It's a visual distortion of objects from a particular perspective as they recede into space. So let's shade and give these actual dimensions. So we have the flat shapes here. This one started to be shaded. Let's give a ground line. So this is part of what I'm grading. give it a ground line. And this is telling us that our light source is somewhere here, probably. So we will shade on the back side of this, heavy, and then we'll lighten as it comes around to the front. We'll give a cast shadow here and a cast shadow here. And that's all we're going to do for today. Have a great Friday.